You don't need to know the news the moment it breaks. You don't need to know. You are going to be fine. This is wild to consider this, but there was a time when you found out about the news once per day in the morning. It was printed out on the piece of paper anyone has ever had.
You'd get ink smeared on your hands.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's garbage. And it was all old by the time we got there. And you know what? People were fine.
I'm Jon Favreau. Welcome to Offline. Welcome to Offline. Hey, Max.
Hey, buddy. Welcome back.
Woof. We are both back from vacation.
We are. Tanned, rested, and ready to pod.
And I'm still fighting off a little jet lag.
Oh, no.
So we figured we'd answer some of your questions this week.
Mm-hmm.
You guys sent some great questions. Thank you to everyone who sent questions. The first up, we have some offline challenge related questions. Remember the offline challenge?
So we were both horribly addicted to our smartphones, spending like 4 to 5 to 6 hours a day on our phones. And so spent like a month or two going through every week trying different little hacks, tricks, apps to break our addiction to our smartphone and try to like take our brains back.
That's right. That's a good description as any. So Bubbles Becky asks, did you guys regress on your offline habits, and did Max ever learn his way around LA? Mainly Morgan asked, screen time updates, would love to know if and how you've kept it up. And Lauren Detweiler said, asked, did Jon get a phone while he was in Morocco, or did he take a phone break and just use Wi-Fi? Lauren, I really appreciate your confidence in me.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely had my phone the entire time in Morocco. I was in Morocco for a wedding, for those of you who don't follow me on social media.
I have to say, I'm actually glad that we're talking about this now when we both came back from vacation. I did not expect how hard it was going to be to stick to being rigorous about my smartphone on vacation, but it's really tough. I found it to be tough.
I blew it. Because I looked at my screen time. It's fucking horrifying.
Okay, let's
all right,
hear
so
it.
here's how it went. Here's how it went for me. I'm going to break out like my vacation, and because there was different
numbers.
There were different times where I was better or worse on stuff. So I was in Maine for about a week and a half.
But crucially, the week and a half overlapping with the Republican debate, in which you were, I would say, extremely online.
Yes, I was. And so Emily's parents live in Maine, this place called Biddeford Pool, and so we were there for a week and a half, and then my parents came, so it was just like a lot of family time, lot of hanging with Charlie. It was like fantastic. It was beautiful weather. But that first week, like you said, it was the Republican debate, and I said to everyone here before I left that I would join the Discord to do that, partly because Dan and Tommy could not do the Discord because they were getting ready to record the show that night, and Lovett was like offline. Lovett just took a real vacation.
What is that like?
I know. So up until the debate, I was on social media, like very plugged in, watched the debate. Emily and I ended up watching the debate in bed, and then watched the Tucker Trump interview after the debate.
Back to back. The Barbenheimer of shitty Republican discourse.
And at that point, it was midnight, East Coast time. I'm like, what a romantic night, just sitting in bed watching Tucker and Donald Trump.
What a vacation.
But then the next day, I took Twitter off my phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm done with that.
Okay.
And then I think that was from that point until I went to Morocco, I was really good.
Mm-hmm.
In Morocco, I was good. Mm-hmm. But the days that I traveled, the big travel days, not good.
Yeah, the travel days are tough.
So
you're stressed. You got the only thing in front of you is your phone.
So if you look at this whole thing on my phone, the first week of vacation.
Let's hear the numbers.
The average was 2 hours and 42 minutes a day, which is not terrible. Okay. And that was when I was like very online for social media stuff.
Sure.
And it just, it wasn't too bad. Oh, I also set, I forgot, I set app limits, an hour for Twitter and an hour for Instagram.
And did you observe them?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, because if you look at my most used, it's not in there.
While I am proud of you, an hour per day on each of those apps is so much time.
It goes by fast. Well, the thing is, I don't sleep until
Charles Barkley ad, I am not a role model.
I usually hit both of them like when I wake up in the morning because I'm up before anyone.
You are
even on the East Coast.
Anybody.
East Coast, I got up at 4:30 in the morning,
Why do you
and
do
I
this?
drove to the Dunkin' Donuts in Saco, Maine, by myself at 5 in the morning. So and then I saw the sunrise when I came back, and it was beautiful.
Did you know that one of the big advances in technology? Okay, seeing the sunset on your way back. Wow, big advance in technology is that you can now make coffee at home.
It's not the same. I don't do it as well. And I brought Dunkin' Donuts too, but it's just not the same as going.
Okay, all right.
And I got to bring Charlie Munchkins back, which he was very excited about.
Fun. That's what's his favorite kind?
His favorite kind is the glazed, just like plain glazed.
Yeah, that's the classic.
And they like some powdered donuts
really
too.
good.
So Thursday, August 31st. I know this was the day that we traveled to Morocco. So this is also Tommy's birthday. We were all like joking about him spending the day in the Delta Lounge.
Right.
8 hours and 53 minutes that day.
Come on, how is that possible? On your phone?
Yes.
How?
But
What were you doing?
here's Twitter.
You only have one life to live, man.
42 minutes on Twitter.
So what were you spending the time on?
This is why it's not as bad. I was texting everyone.
Okay.
We were all texting. We were all trying to keep in touch with each other.
That's the methadone of Twitter addiction is the group text.
It was a group text. And then also, Emily did not end up going to Morocco at the last minute because she's 5.5 months pregnant and she's like laying out all her outfits for the wedding. And then she's like, I don't think I can spend 4 nights in the desert. Like, I think this is, I don't think, and Charlie started preschool on Wednesday. She's like, and then we're going to like, she's like, and for him, it's tough. And we're leaving him here we're leaving him in Maine with my parents and her parents.
Right.
She's like, I don't think I can do it. And I totally understood. And I'm glad
sorry
she
she
didn't,
missed
having gone, I'm glad she didn't go.
Really?
It was exhausting. 4 nights.
Debauched.
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
without the debauch. It's just like the time zones and you're in it was a lot. But so we had a text chain that she asked to be kept on.
Okay.
Just
to stay up on
of
what's
the
going on.
Vietors and a couple of our other friends, couples, and so there was a lot of texting.
Right.
So that's what, and then then the rest of the days weren't too bad, except then my travel day back, which was Tuesday the 5th, 17 hours.
No, that's not possible. That
But
doesn't. It's 17 hours. How did you do that?
Five something. Most of it was Spotify.
What were you? What can?
I was on the plane. So I was like listening on the plane to all these different podcasts.
Oh, and then just had the screen up the whole time?
You know why?
Why?
I know why this happened. You know your phone locks like the screen locks automatically?
Sure.
I gave a toast at the wedding,
Uh-huh.
and I was very worried that
I've done that
that the
before.
screen that I'd lose my place,
Right,
and so I turned off screen lock before the wedding, but I never turned it back on. So
Man.
this is sort of a
And
technicality.
the Chinese hackers are going to get you like no
Well,
problem.
I know I turned it back on when I got home, but that was not. It was so that's. It really isn't as bad as it seems at first.
Should hope not.
But I think that crucially,
Okay.
I stuck to the Twitter and Instagram time limits.
Well, so how are you feeling? This is what it's all about. Is just like, are you feeling more connected to the outside world? Or you feel like you have more control over your time?
Yes. Well, that was my very long story about this, and all. Sorry for all the explanations, but what I realized is because I was also alone in Morocco, alone in our hotel room that like I thought Emily was going to come,
Yeah.
but the person who got married is my best childhood friend from home, and. He's also we went to college together.
Mm-hmm.
We're in DC together, LA together. So as much as it was his wedding, it was like everyone I knew from my life.
That's nice.
And who I hadn't seen in a while. So I got to like, I was texting and hanging out with my high school friends. I was meeting them, my college friends. But so it was just like, I felt extremely connected to everyone.
Okay.
And I also think
like
that the
your
phone
was pulling you away.
No, the
from...
phone helped me meet them places and so I'm going to meet you here, I'm going to meet you there, and then like talk about the experiences we just had. And there was like a group WhatsApp chain of everyone in the entire wedding that was like going back and forth and talking about the wedding and sharing pictures.
Who had the best bits and jokes on the WhatsApp wedding text thread? Because it's high risk, high reward.
You know, I'm not. I think I did some pretty good things on there.
Okay.
I think I did.
Good.
Yeah.
You got some good thumbs up.
I had some
emoji
good thumbs up.
responses.
Some good crying, laughing emojis.
I always try to hit. I want to get one comment that's going to get a lot of thumbs up, and then just out. Just Costanza out. Don't risk it. Go out on a high note. Everybody remembers the one joke that was good.
Yeah, that's well, and also like the bride side, a lot of like super smart, funny people on her side.
Okay,
so it was
nice.
It was competitive. I will say it was competitive.
I love that.
Yeah, which we like. All right, tell me about your vacation. Tell me about your phone time.
So my average per week down from 4.5 hours per week before we started the challenge, and then at the like culmination of the challenge, I was down to like 90 minutes a week, which felt amazing. I'm back up now to between about 2 hours and 2.5 hours a week. I've been kind of following it for a while, which is like better, but I still feel like I'm backsliding. The one thing that I have kept from the challenges is grayscale on my phone. I like really cannot recommend this enough. If you do one thing, if you make one change to your phone, put it on grayscale, you will spend so much less time on it. Yeah. It's so effective.
It does. That's why I don't. It makes it really boring.
It's great. Yeah, it's perfect. It's also a nice conversation starter. Like people see your phone and they're like, why is your phone in black and white? And then you get to be really smug and superior about being off of your phone, which is really good.
It's tough tough with the pictures because I'm just like, I have a kid and I like, especially when I was gone from Charlie, I wanted to like look at pictures of him and Emily was sending me pictures and grayscale's tough for that.
So that was one of, I've been backsliding a little bit, spending more time on Twitter than I want to, but I'm at least not posting, but I'm reading it more than I want to. I'm going to try to deal with that. I'm still off TikTok 100%. I haven't opened it in like 6 months. The backsliding I did during the vacation, where I added another hour up to like 3.5, which I feel bad about because I wanted to, be on my vacation. I could feel myself spending more time on my phone than I wanted to. I turned color on because it was in Montana. I was at Glacier, which is beautiful, and I wanted to take pictures of it. And then I was just like tired and like giving myself like a little treat and being like, you know what, you're on vacation, spend more time on your phone. It's fine. And the thing that I am remembering is that if you backslide for even a week, which I did, and I was like, could excuse it because I was on this trip. I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm like tired. I'm back at the hotel. Is that I'm still feeling the effects like a hangover, like a week later.
Yeah.
Like I tried to watch this like French film that I've been wanting to watch forever a couple nights ago, and it was really good, but I could feel my attention span like really drifting. I had to pause it like every 45 minutes to look at my phone for a few minutes just because I had this 1 week off. And it is really reminding me that like there's no permanent fix, that I'm just going to be fighting phone addiction forever. And I'm glad I'm doing it because it's absolutely worth it. But it's like, I don't know if there comes a moment where it's just like gone out of your life.
I don't think there is. I mean, that was sort of my a conclusion I came to over the break, because it's such a part of our lives that all you can do is, I think, I think about what Catherine Price talked to us about, which is like, it's not how she doesn't do necessarily like hours of screen time, but like how you use the phone. Right. And I know at the time it seemed like, oh, maybe that's an excuse, but I do think there is something different about connecting with people in your life with your phone versus scrolling on Twitter. Yeah. Which honestly, like I've been much better at and I did not miss.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. I have shifted a lot of time on my phone from Twitter, Instagram, things that make you feel like you're socially connected, but absolutely do not, to the group chat. And it's way better.
It's way better.
Okay, should we move on to...
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this is for you. From Jenna, how are you, and this is a really hard one, how are you anticipating navigating social media, phones, etc., with Charlie and with Baby F, which is your forthcoming child's name, as they get older? I have a 10 and 13-year-old, and neither have phones. Even the 10-year-old is becoming an outlier in this, as most of the kids in that age group now have phones. I've seen even 6, 7, 8-year-olds walking around with them. Terrifying.
Jenna, thank you for this question, and thank you for painting a nightmare vision of my future.
Baby F's future.
Baby F's future. I honestly hadn't thought. I've been trying to get through like screen time, TV time at this age, and I haven't really thought about, until you asked that question, Jenna, I hadn't thought about phones in like when it becomes phone time. And I actually haven't talked with Emily yet about this, so I'm sure she'd appreciate this is a great way to start the discussion on a public podcast.
This is without how to find her. Out, yeah. That's life married to a podcaster, baby. You signed up for this. You knew what you were getting into.
I think it's hard because, like, I wouldn't want either of my children to be complete outliers, and I think there's like such peer pressure that you don't want to have the kid be the only kid at school who doesn't have a phone. Like, at least for us, I don't think that's tenable. I think it's like talking to your kids about the phones and sort of like sitting with them, and maybe when Charlie's at the right age, I'll talk to him about the offline challenge and what we did and all this, a lot of the stuff we've talked about. Like I sort of plan to do that, Okay. And I actually have found that so far, when he's watching TV, what I try to avoid is like both of us, Emily and I both try to avoid is like leaving Charlie alone with the screen for too long.
Yeah.
Because if we're with him and he's watching something, then I find that sometimes having a discussion about what he's watching can really be helpful.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and it's
like
a social activity too, instead of a like you and the screen.
Right. And look, I grew up, I mean, we had no restrictions on television when we were kids, my brother and I. We watched a ton of television.
What did you watch?
And like everything from cartoons to the educational stuff on PBS, you know, remember all the Square One and all that?
Okay.
If anyone remembers, if anyone's old enough. And it was education. Like I learned a lot of my vocabulary from the television, and now Charlie is like learning words and phrases and sentences, and I'm like, oh, he just started preschool Wednesday. Like I didn't teach him that. Where'd he get that? And he got it from some educational television show. Okay. So like, I think there's benefits of it, and I think transferring that to the phone stuff is just going to be like what we were just talking about. We live in the world we live. The phones are going to be part of our lives. And I think the key is to figure out how to best use the phone so that you can balance the benefits of connecting with people with all the risks and dangers that we have talked about throughout the show.
It really, I don't have kids, but I'm planning to at some point. And this one really terrifies me because nobody has figured it out. This generation of adolescents now are the first ones to grow up with phone addiction. And the stories that I hear from friends with kids that age are, it's like, they really can't pay attention to anything. Like they have no ability to focus because it's just like they have TikTok in front of them all the time. Obviously, the like way that social norms develop for kids when they're spending so much time online, especially through the pandemic, is it's like much meaner, much crueler. There's much more bullying. And I was talking to a friend of mine who works for a tech company, and they just did this like big survey of how kids are using tech now when they go to college. And something that had not occurred to me, but made a lot of sense when he was telling me about it, is that a lot of kids now who go from high school to college, they don't make friends in college and they don't go out because it's so easy for them to stay connected to their high school friends. And he was talking to college professors where they were like, yeah, the campus dies every night at 5 p.m. because everybody goes back to their dorm to socialize with their friends from high school. Because it's scary when you go to college and make friends for the first time. And imagine if you just didn't have to do it, didn't have to try, you would never develop that skill. And I feel like the next 10 years are just going to be this process of discovering all of these ways that it's going to be like really hard to grow up phone addicted.
That is wild because, and just thinking about the wedding I was at, Josh and I went to college together and we were roommates when we got to college, my friend from high school. And then we were like 45 minutes from home at our college, and we did see some of our high school friends a lot. Yeah. But because it was comfortable, and like it wasn't until we were like really forced to like go out in the world and make friends and have our own activities and stuff like that we met like all of our college friends. And if we had like phones at the time,
you never would have done it.
It would it would have been so much easier, you know, to avoid that. Yeah. So that is a challenge.
Yeah. That's why when I have kids, we're moving to a survivalist compound in Montana. That's what I was doing out there. I was scoping out sites, and it's going to be like that M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village. We're all going to dress like it's the 19th century. We're not going to tell them what's really going on. And you know what? It's going to rule. They're going to be so healthy.
I will say the happiest I was when we were in Maine. There was just like, because there's so much to do outside.
Yeah.
Like Charlie really took to that, and we were like down on the beach looking for sea glass and like running around, and so there was much less screen time for all of us than when he's just home during the day, because there's just so much to do. So I do think the outdoors is like helpful there with
being
kids
active.
as well.
And I have found that one of the best ways for myself to break my phone addiction is to just go out in the world, go for hikes, go for bike rides.
Yeah, that's huge.
This episode of Offline is brought to you by Cariuma, the cool, sustainable sneaker company with old school style and new school ethics. Warm weather is well on its way out, and we are gearing up for all things fall. With over 40,000 five-star reviews, Cariuma's got you covered for your return back to school, back to work, and back to reality. These sneakers are crazy comfy and consciously crafted. No wonder they're worn by celebrities and praised by publications like Vogue and GQ. The Aka is Cariuma's new school take on a timeless sneaker style. With classic silhouette and ultra-soft LWG certified suede and leather finish, they make for the perfect autumn pair. They also come in breathable 100% cotton canvas for a lightweight feel and a look you can rock year-round. Choose from a selection of neutral colorways or add a pop of color for an elevated everyday look with ultimate comfort this season. Listen, I love my Cariumas. There's no better shoe for walking the dog, getting out of the house. But as much as I love my Cariumas, Favreau loves them even more. I think he has basically only Cariumas at this point. He's got every pair, every style, every color known to man. If they're good enough for Jon, they're good enough for you. For a limited time, Offline listeners can get an exclusive 15% off your pair of Cariuma sneakers. Go to cariuma.com/offline to get 15% off. That's cariuma.com/offline for 15% off, only for a limited time. Offline is brought to you by bookshop.org. When you purchase from bookshop.org, you're supporting local independent bookstores, so they will be around for all of us to enjoy in the future. Book recommendations on bookshop.org come from real people who love books, not algorithms. Whether you're searching for a political expose, an examination of class and society, or a fantasy novel that sweeps you away, bookshop.org has just the book you're looking for. Look, guys, summer's not over yet. There's some time still to get that beach read in. Check out Mobility by Lydia Kiesling. Great book. Recently read it. I just picked up another Le Carre novel because I was like, you know what? I got to chill with all this serious nonfiction stuff. Let's just have fun in a novel. And I know you can find those books at bookshop.org. They have raised over $27 million for local bookstores. They're unapologetically anti-Amazon. Bookshop.org believes local bookstores are essential community hubs that foster culture, curiosity, and love of reading, and they're committed to helping them survive and thrive. Bookshop.org is a certified B Corp and we're named Best for the World by B Labs. Use code OFFLINE10 to get 10% off your next order at bookshop.org/crooked. That's bookshop.org/crooked. Use the code OFFLINE10 to get 10% off your next order. Offline is brought to you by Doer. Sometimes they dress for comfort, sometimes for style, and I found my new favorite pants that I can wear anywhere, anytime. They're from Doer. These Doer jeans are the most comfortable pieces of clothing I've ever worn. They look great. They feel great. You got to get your own pair. The great thing about Doer jeans is they look good. They feel good. They're super comfortable, but they also last a long time. They won't get worn out fast. They won't tear, and you're not going to have to spend a ton of money on multiple pairs of pants because these ones are going to last you forever. They have that stretch performance denim and lifestyle apparel. It's made to be extra comfortable. You can style them up or style them down, whatever works. Doer's denim has 5 times the stretch of traditional rigid denim and is designed to keep you cool and dry in any temperature and are antibacterial for easy care and less washing. Plus, they're made with the environment in mind, using sustainable materials and designed to last. Trust me, you haven't felt comfort until you have your own pair of Doers. Check out Doer's flagship stores in LA and Denver or shop online at shopdoer.com. I've arranged something special with Doer just for our listeners, 15% site-wide when you use the promo code OFFLINE. It's an awesome deal because Doer never goes on sale. Don't miss out. For 15% off, go to shopduer.com and use the promo code OFFLINE. That's shopduer.com, promo code OFFLINE. This episode of Offline with Jon Favreau is brought to you by Manakora Honey. But more specifically, my jar of Manakora Honey was brought to me by Colin, one of Manakora's beekeepers. Manakora Honey is sustainably sourced and 100% traceable. Each jar comes from a QR code, so you can verify exactly where your honey came from and who it was made by. You can even read about your beekeeper. You can read all about Colin. He's been working with bees for 30 years. He harvested my honey from the Great Barrier Reef Island off the northern coast of New Zealand. Thanks for that, Colin. Manakora honey is rare because the bees feed on the nectar of the manuka tree, making a super honey. This is rich and herbaceous and with a creamy texture unlike anything you've tried before. There was some Manakora honey sent to our office. People heard about it. There was basically a stampede down the hallway to steal all the free Manakora honey, and now it is no more because everyone ate it instantly and it's always whining about more. So give it a shot. Manakora's honey is available in a range of easy-to-use formats, including squeeze bottles and packs of compostable honey sticks so you can use it at home or take it on the go. If you head to manakora.com/offline or use code OFFLINE, you'll automatically get a free pack of honey sticks with your order, a $15 value. That's manakora.com/offline or use code OFFLINE to get a free pack of compostable honey sticks with your order. You haven't tasted or seen honey like this before, so indulge and try some honey with superpowers from Manakora. And when you do, take a look at who made your honey. It will be one of the many small independent beekeepers who practice Manakora's old school ways of beekeeping so you get the best tasting and highest quality honey. Maybe you'll even have a batch from Colin as well.
Here's a question from KCat16. What is the non-social app you're most embarrassed about using regularly? And a somewhat related question from Denise Vine 8. Left Twitter months ago. Now too much time on Pet Finder. Now we have 3 dogs. Help.
Denise.
You know what? That is someone after my own heart. The level of addiction to the phone is so great. That now you have a home full of animals because you're on Pet Finder too much. Fantastic.
It made me think of early in the pandemic how much time I would spend opening up Wirecutter every single day just looking for random bullshit to buy just to have like an activity, and like getting deeply knowledgeable about the best like air purifiers and like paper towels. I applaud, Denise, you caring for these animals, but based on the way you have phrased your question ending it with the word help, I think maybe you ended up with more dogs than you wanted to. And I would really urge you to consider, number 1, deleting the app.
Yeah.
And number 2, to go back to our friend Catherine Price and the advice that she gave to us, that if you are addicted to an app or to your phone, don't just think about the app, think about what emotional need or like impulse you were trying to fill with that app. And I'm not going to try to diagnose what's going on with Denise over the microphone. We're not at that level of podcasting yet. But I would say think about what you're looking to fill with dogs and maybe see if there's something else to fill it with.
Well, that's a good segue to my answer to my non-social app that I'm most embarrassed about using, which is the Weather Channel app. And here's the thing. Some of this is
such an old guy answer.
Well, it's also very like context related because I don't when I'm in LA.
There's no weather to look at.
There's not a lot of weather to look at, and so I found. But I am a New Englander by birth, and lived there for many years, and so there was a lot. And when I went back. And we were in Maine, and part of the reason we were there when we were is Emily's dad turned 70. We had a big 70th birthday party for him, and Emily's mother-in-law and me are both like weather-obsessed people, and we were very worried that it was going to rain. But and so I was just checking it all the time, and I realized why am I checking the weather app? I am checking the weather app because I want to have some sense of control over what happens. And I think if I know that the weather is going to be bad, I guess we could have like moved the party. There was some conversation about moving the party indoors, but I was like, for some reason, I was checking it so many times a day, but like that's not going to help. Like
also the weather's not going to change that much.
The weather's not going to change that much. Like the ideal thing would have been to look 2 days before, figure out if it's going to rain, and then have a backup plan. Inside. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need it all the time. It is a way to try to get control where you can't actually get control.
I do feel like it's one of the like great indicators of a type A personality, because I am always shocked when I meet someone and they don't know exactly what the weather is going to do for the next 72 hours. And it's like, how could you not know? How are you just going out into the world and you don't know what the sky is going to do? Come on.
I'm looking at radars.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, look, this is a
dark sky.
This is a system that's just going to pass, and I can tell that it's going to pass.
You've got weather takes.
And then when I knew that I was going to Morocco alone, and you know how I am with flying, I looked at the turbulence forecast. Which is there's a website, turbulenceforecast.com,
really?
Which I've been checking for a long time.
Reliable or?
It is reliable, but then they're offering personalized forecasts.
It's a service marketed to one person.
And I was like, I'm going to try that for Morocco because I was very like nervous about flying, and there was all the hurricanes in the Atlantic, and so I wanted to know. And this guy emailed me, who was very, very helpful, Peter, and sent me
personal turbulence.
Sent me the turbulence thing, and then he said. And I just want to ask, is this Jon Favreau, the actor?
Wow. Also tough beat.
Like it happens all the time.
Did you tell him like, no, but I am a Jon Favreau?
And he's like, I've heard of you too. But he was very honest. He was like, look, because of the weather system, is going to be pretty. He's like, from Newfoundland to just south of Iceland, it's going to be really bad. Okay. And he's like, he goes, if they climb to 41,000 feet, you might be. So he's like giving me details.
Wow.
And sure enough, I was fine, even though the flight was quite bad.
Interesting.
Because I sort of knew it was happening.
So this actually sounds like a really helpful service for people who maybe have some anxiety around flying, as more and more people do because of the big break we all took during the pandemic.
Right. And again, it's a control thing though. It's like if I know the information, I can feel better. It's being in like small planes with no Wi-Fi and no one I know that's just like, here I am by myself, not hearing anything from anyone.
That doesn't seem like such a bad habit. Although it's making me wonder, like, man, could you imagine if like Meta started a weather app? It would just be pushing you the like scariest weather everywhere in the world every 7 minutes.
Yes. Well, you Google turbulence and it's like there's 50 million articles about how climate change is making turbulence worse, and it's only going to get worse as climate change gets worse. Which
is that
could
true?
be true, but like
it's catnip for the John brain.
Catnip. Yeah. So is yours Wirecutter?
I don't spend so much time on it anymore. But similarly, mine is Zillow. I love to browse houses. I love
my wife.
I love to look at them. I love to even cities I have no intention of moving to, cities I've never been to. You know what's fun? Find the housing market someplace that's like really, really cheap. Texas, right around the border with Mexico in the eastern part of Texas. Great, incredible houses. Steals. Absolute steals. And they're fun to look at.
Yeah, there was a period where Emily was showing me places in Cincinnati. She's like, when her parents were still living in Cincinnati, she's like, we could move to Cincinnati and get quite a house. And I'm like,
I used to love looking. This is a like years long habit with me. I used to love looking in the like Rocky Mountain region because it's beautiful and I really love it. But speaking of the evils of the tech industry, every fucking tech guy moved to like Bozeman or Jackson or bought 8 houses there, and now you can't get anything. It's impossible. It's not even fun to browse Zillow in those parts of the country anymore.
Yeah, I've heard stories too where the people who are working in those like resort towns,
that's terrible.
Like can't even afford to live there because all the rich people have bought up all the houses, and so they're like commuting 2 hours to work.
Oh yeah. It's 2-3 hours commute. It's the only people who they can hire in a lot of these places are the kids of people who live there. So if you go to like a restaurant in these places, it's all these like stone 16 and 17-year-olds, and inevitably and also understandably, they all like stop showing up to work after 2 or 3 weeks. So a lot of these places, like all the restaurants, are shutting down randomly. It's a real problem.
I don't think Zillow is too embarrassing. I'm gonna say that.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. So Tara S asks, any suggestions for a relatively healthy and low blood pressure way for consuming political content during the 2024 election, beside the pod, which we all love? Thank you, Tara. Thank you. Michaela V. Adams.
I spent so much time wondering. I think it's Michael Ava Dams.
How can you stay informed while also trying to be offline? Thanks for the amazing show. Thank you, Michaela.
You're welcome, Michael Ava.
Michael Ava. You want to take this one first? Or?
I have 3 tips.
Okay.
And this is all assuming that look, if you're listening to the show, we're all news junkies. Nobody's throwing their smartphone in the river. No one's deleting Twitter, even though you should, but we're just let's be honest. I'm going to meet you where you are. Number 1, and I have been doing this, recommend it really highly, only connect to check up on the news once per day.
I have pick times to check the news down.
Look at that. Okay,
yeah, I love it.
And it you don't need to know the news the moment it breaks. You don't need to know. You are going to be fine. This is wild to consider this, but there was a time when you found out about the news once per day in the morning. It was printed out on the shittiest piece of paper anyone has ever had.
You'd get ink smeared on your hands.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's garbage. And it was all old by the time we got there. And you know what? People were fine. Yeah. It was fine. Tip number 2. If possible, and this is hard, but I really recommend it, get the news first from a non-social app outlet like a podcast or going to nytimes.com, whatever, and then go to social media second. We all know you're still going to open Twitter, but just if you read the news article first, you will process it much more rashly than if you read the shitty fucking takes. And number 3, don't post. Do not post yourself. And you will really find, I think we're big evangelists for this, and even though I know it's not super intuitive, that social media affects you so much less if you are not yourself posting on it.
This is very true. And I could learn that one better. I don't post a ton, but I post. Since I got back, I've posted a little too much.
Okay,
did I need to post today that someone wrote a Puck article about how Jeff Rowe was a genius, and then 4 weeks later, Ron DeSantis is maybe going to fire him. What do I care about Jeff Rowe? Did I need to post that? No, I did not. But I did.
How did it feel?
It's just like posting. You post it, you feel got it. Yeah, post.
You get your little,
and then
your little zap,
10 minutes later, you're just That was stupid.
I know. It's like it's eating junk food. It feels good, and then you feel bad about it afterwards.
I think those are great pieces of advice. I would also say when I'm using Twitter now, I've said this before on this pod, Twitter lists, like make yourself a list of a couple different people that you want to follow, especially for news, right? Like I have a just news list of people who I just want to get the news from, and they're not going to post a lot of takes. They're not going to post a lot of opinions. They're just going to give me the news, and I go to that. And I'm not going to share with everyone that list. It's not public because I don't want you fucking criticizing the people that I picked to follow news.
Wow. Okay. Oh, we got some controversial. We got Tucker up in there. Yeah. How many members of the All In Pod are on this Twitter list?
All the besties.
Okay.
All the besties.
Okay. Got to get those jam out there.
Got to get the besties. But anyway, so the Twitter list is good. And then, but I agree. Like, go to a news site first. Yeah. Go to like the New York Times, Washington Post, Politico, CNN, NBC, The Atlantic. Those are all places that
even if you literally just read the headlines.
Yep. The other one is just be intentional about what you're looking for.
Yeah. Right.
Don't just go scrolling for news. Mm-hmm. Think to yourself, like, what do I want to get from the news? Yeah. And what am I looking for before you go check it?
There's so many news stories that I find out about Twitter that make me so upset. I'm so angry about it. And then I'm like, I never would have found out about this or cared if not for social media, and relative to the things on like actual top of like news homepage. It's not that important.
For example, when I was in Morocco, very unplugged from the news. Yeah. And again, my phone time was up there, but I had no idea what was going on in the country, and I was very happy. Mm-hmm. I said this to Dan Pfeiffer on Pod Save America. He was trying to text me and Tommy the Wall Street Journal poll about, Trump and Biden tied and stuff like that, and neither of us were responding. And he just kept like sending crosstabs and stuff, and I was like, I just looked at my phone. I was like, I gotta put this away, Dan. I gotta do this later. Yeah.
And nothing bad happened, right? But I took a break, and it's fine.
We were sitting around, and Tommy's like, he's like, this is so. He starts laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing? He's like, have you heard what's happening with Burning Man? I'm like, what is happening with Burning Man? And I missed the whole Burning Man thing, the whole Burning Man discourse.
Yeah. The Burning Man one, at first, I think it was kind of a fun one where it's like the escape llamas all over again. It's just like a fun thing that we're all laughing about. It's low stakes. But then it did very quickly become like a capital D discourse. And then people went from like dunking on the burners, which I like, look, we both know people go to Burning Man. I'm not just like, whatever, but it just like, it's funny. Come on. But it went very quickly to like people like literally hoping for their deaths and people getting like really mad about it. And it's
a little bit like the submarine discourse.
Right. Yeah. It was submarine. Just like, if
why did all the discourse end up with like people wanting someone to die?
I don't understand. Deaths, yeah. Well, every discourse has to identify a good person and especially a bad person. And then you have to have the maximal take about how much you hate the bad person. And it's like, just laugh at them for getting stuck in the mud, like chill.
It was funny because in one of the wedding toasts, someone made a Burning Man joke in the toast.
Okay,
and
topical.
I was just like, but it was funny because I wasn't so connected to the discourse. It was the first time I was like, oh, that's an interesting joke. I'm like, is that? And, it landed with enough people because everyone's very online. Yeah. But I was like, oh, okay, that's what happens when you do a discourse joke in real life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Big Tom 52. How do we depolarize our country and depopularize right-wing conspiracy politics? Well, Big Tom 52, if we can answer that question here, we should not be doing offline. We should be doing something.
Should we start a stopwatch and see how quickly we can answer solving for all of politics? Just 31 minutes into the pod, let's go for the absolute hardest possible question.
Anyway,
facing the world today.
Bonus episode where we answer Big Tom 52's question, check out. Look, I don't know. I think it is. The shortest thing I'll say about this is that it comes down to, I think, a lack of trust that we have in society right now. That we can talk about why it happened, but like the lack of faith in institutions has now the lack of faith in institutions has now turned into like a lack of faith in each other. Mm-hmm. And I think like rebuilding community offline, rebuilding bonds with people offline, arguing and debating about politics offline is not going to solve everything. And I'm not going to pretend that before the internet, politics was wonderful.
But it's something you can do.
It's something you can do. And look, one of the people at the wedding. One of the bridesmaids was like a very conservative person, like not conservative, like works in conservative.
Really?
Yeah,
professionally.
Has like a lot of ties.
Okay.
And we had the longest discussion at one of the dinners that was like we disagreed quite a bit.
Yeah.
But like we didn't go crazy.
Okay.
And
That's
we
good.
didn't like flip the table over or anything like
great.
that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't had a debate or a discussion with someone in person who doesn't think at all like I do.
Yeah.
In a long time.
It's hard. I usually just avoid them because it's just so easy for it to go off the rails.
It is, but it's just like I think that doing it online is never going to work.
Yeah. So I will not. I think it's a great answer. I will not try to offer a like solution, but just as the one thing I can add, having spent a long time like writing and reporting on the rise of whatever you want to call it, populist sentiment, like popular authoritarianism, like right-wing extremism, the like whatever is the movement that is spreading worldwide, that it's like at its most basic level, there's a supply problem and a demand problem that's driving it. And the demand it's many things, but if there is one thing at the core, it is a reaction against perceived social change and social change that people dislike, and the reasons that people dislike it are complicated, the circumstances in which they do or don't, but it always comes down to like, my community is changing in ways that feel out of control and I don't like that, and I want someone to like do whatever it will take to rein in the people I don't like and to control it. And the demand problem is that or the supply problem rather, is political parties increasingly cannot or will not cordon off extremism in the way that they used to, which is traditionally one of the most important roles that political parties have played. And for, again, complicated reasons, democracies worldwide, they just can't do it anymore. And those guardrails have really weakened and fallen away. So I don't think social media is driving either problem, but both of them is making it way worse for sure.
Right, because to your point about cultures changing and society changing faster than people think it should, you want something to be done about those people. Right. When you are around those people and living with those people and working with those people and they're your neighbors.
You don't feel that way.
You don't feel that way. Yeah. Some people do. I'm not, again, it's not like a panacea here, but like you are less likely to feel that way.
Right.
Mary Kate McGlog asks, favorite media scandal other than Trump, obviously, of 2023. What do you think?
So I don't know if this counts as a media scandal, but I just had a great fucking time when my boy Prigozhin had his big march to Moscow. That was just a great ass time on the internet. If you are a big foreign policy nerd and you just want to like geek out with the other foreign policy nerds, it's also like, I'm so sorry to the Russian Federation. Extremely funny how fucked up your country is.
I put together a Twitter list on that one. That was such a big thing on the weekend. I was like, I need my Ukraine war experts right here.
Who was on the list?
Again, I don't even. It's on my phone somewhere. I don't even know.
I was the perfect cross section of
it was just you, Ben, and Tommy. That's all.
Okay, perfect.
Just want to make sure I got my boys on there.
You joined the discourse, the Discord rather. It just like really engaged both the like parts of my brain that love to think critically about this and was also like fun to joke about. I mean, he crossed the Rubicon and then uncrossed it. And then that's wild.
And then
supposedly, we'll see. Oh, he's going to show up at a convention.
I bet there's a
Vegas.
discourse around that. Okay, that's good. I just liked the Fox Dominion stuff.
Yeah, that was fun.
The texts.
It's fun when they deserve
the insight, and then Tucker leaving, like that. The whole saga was. I mean, it was enraging to like, confirm what we had all believed what was happening behind the scenes at Fox, but it was also just fun.
It's been a big year for just desserts. And it's really nice to see that. It's really nice to see. And when it's people who deserve it, too. Yeah, this is not like someone getting canceled because they did a bad post. This is like really bad people who are bad for the world getting confronted with that and getting a comeuppance. It's great.
And I will say there was a lot of debate around like, will Tucker be as powerful off Fox as he was when he was on Fox? I'm like, I think we know now that he's lost a lot of juice.
Yeah. Although a lot of that, I think, is also because he left Fox and then decided to partner with the biggest jackass on the shittiest platform in human history.
Yeah, and like if they're content with saying like, oh, I just did an interview that got like 300 billion views, like great, good for you.
View count metric.
Yeah, your view count's off, but tell yourself whatever makes you feel better. Yeah. All right, Twisting and Shouting asks. I love these handles. If Threads doesn't take off and Twitter continues to spiral, is this overall format doomed?
The more I think about it and the more I look at the numbers, I think yes. I think that...
Do you think that... we've been on Twitter Death Watch for a long time now. And I can't tell if it's actually going to go, or it's just going to be in this sort of liminal state where it's just sort of shitty to use and not fun, but we're still on it because we need a place to look at the news.
I think it will continue to creep along until or unless there is a big shock in Elon Musk's other holdings, that like something bad happens with Tesla in China, or like the Tesla stock price drops and he can no longer afford the interest on the loan for buying Twitter, and then I think it'll go bankrupt. But I think even before he bought it, the usership and the user base on this app was declining relative to other apps. It was already declining. And I think that it's so much of that energy and audience was going to TikTok and YouTube. Even if the Elon thing hadn't happened, I think that inevitably, even though I think microblogging has a lot of value, I think that audience was going to go to the video services, which is, I think, bad for
what
the
do
world.
What do you think's going on with Threads?
What? Who? I don't remember. It's dead. Come on. There's no. It's not working. This is.
I still think that their biggest mistake was not coming out of the gate with a desktop version.
Yeah.
Because I think I would have used it a lot more if I could be sitting at my laptop.
Right.
Which is where I am most of the day because I'm at work.
I think it's a good point, and I think a lot of that was meta hubris because they make the Instagram desktop service deliberately difficult to use because they want to push you to the mobile app, and of course this was all a like Instagram sub-service, so I think they thought they could get away with the same thing, and it didn't work.
Jenna asks, if you had your druthers on a bill that would address what we all see as some of the systemic issues in these social media conglomerates, what would be your must-haves for inclusion? This is a perfect Max question.
Okay, so I have 3. The first, and I think the biggest one, because this is the one that when I was talking to people for the book about, like, if you could change anything about social media, what would it be? What would be the thing at the top of your wish list? They would all say, turn off some or any of the engagement maximizing features. Like, turn off the counter that shows you the visible number of likes beneath the post. Turn off reshares. And of course, like, turn off the algorithm if you can. And even if you can't get the algorithm turned off completely, because I think it would be really hard to do with any legislation, like, turn it off for some topics, which is a thing that some lawmakers have called for before. And I think it's like something that we could get is like any video that has a kid in it, the algorithm doesn't promote that. Any post that references kids or references something sensitive, like, just have the algorithm not promote that. I think that is something that would be hard to execute, but we know technologically it's capable. The companies are capable of this because they've done it occasionally. So it'd just be a matter of just like forcing them to institutionalize that. Number 2, I think legal liability for medical misinformation. It's just like, it's such a clear case where it's like you can really demonstrate the harm very clearly. It's very easy to draw the line for what sort of content is allowed and not allowed. It's harder to do that for violent extremism. And there's some cases now around trying to get legal liability for violent extremism that was promoted by the algorithms. And it's just hard to prove like what counts as extremist content. Although, again, the platforms have done this for jihadism and pro-ISIS content. They like really went scorched earth on a few years ago, and it was very effective. And they just choose not to do that with other forms of extremism because, of course, the big one is right-wing white nationalism, and that is very closely associated with one of our 2 big political parties. So they like don't want to piss them off. I know, isn't that
Which is
fun?
another issue.
Yeah. You think so?
We don't have time to get into right now.
And then number 3, I would say just limit the ability of kids to access
That
the
was gonna be
services.
that was my big one.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you legislate that in a way that is doable, right? Because I mean, there's ways to get around, like, are you put in your birth date, right? Like, I don't know the mechanism is doable for that, but I agree.
Some of the platforms are much better at it than others.
So you could force the platforms to kind of...
Yeah, or you just create a fine-based system, and then these companies can afford pretty steep fines. So you calibrate the fine so that you assume there's going to be some amount of leakage, and then you just call it a tax. But you say if they're so egregious about it, like the way YouTube is, that you're going to get hit with really big fines.
Pippi PH Hooray 12?
Pippin.
Pip Hooray? Pip Hooray. Maybe that's what...
Pippin who a.
Okay.
Space is in your names, folks. It helps us out. We don't know how to read here.
What do you think will be the next big tech in 10 years? I feel like the answer here is AI, but am I missing something?
I mean, it seems like that is it will probably be something AI associated because that's where so much of the investment is going. So like whatever AI actually delivers us in terms of capabilities, I think we don't know. Before the big social media boom in the early 2010s, you never would have guessed, and no one had any idea it was going to be social media. I think whatever it is, it's important to remember that it's not going to be decided by where does the technology go, and it's not going to be decided by what are consumers most interested. It's going to be decided, as these always have been in these Silicon Valley cycles, by what is the Silicon Valley financing model select for, and that is going to be the things that attract the highest market valuation as quickly as possible so that the investors can dump a small amount of money in it and then make a big profit very quickly by sending the company public. And with social media apps, that meant companies that could get a lot of users on free-to-use websites. That's been the model for a while. Maybe it will continue to be. Maybe it will be something else.
Offline is brought to you by Simply Safe. Well, it's official. Fall is here. If you're like me, you're settling back into busier routines with the kids at school, and spare time filled with soccer practices and seasonal activities. Your home may be sitting empty and vulnerable. That's why we recommend Simply Safe Home Security and their revolutionary home monitoring innovation, 24/7 Live Guard protection. It's designed to help stop crime in real time. Now, if an intruder breaks into your home, Simply Safe professional monitoring agents can actually see, speak to, and deter them through Simply Safe's new Smart Alarm wireless indoor camera. We love Simply Safe. As you all know well by now, Jon Lovett set one up himself. He can turn it on and off by his phone. He says it's top-flight sensors, but super easy to use, and it has kept him safe and secure for years now. The 24/7 Live Guard protection is made possible by the new Smart Alarm wireless indoor camera, available with a Fast Protect monitoring plan. The new Smart Alarm indoor camera is the only indoor security camera that can trigger the alarm and instantly deter intruders with a built-in siren. It has a physical privacy shutter to provide protection when you need it and privacy when you want it. 24/7 Live Guard protection and the new Smart Alarm indoor camera work seamlessly as part of the Simply Safe system to keep your whole home safe from break-ins, fires, floods, and more. Install your way, do it yourself in about 30 minutes, or have a Simply Safe expert set it up for you. Either way, it's easy to protect your home. For a limited time, get 20% off your new system when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Visit simplysafe.com/offline. That's simplysafe.com/offline. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Offline is brought to you by Mosh. If you're busy and constantly on the go, you need to try Mosh. It's a protein bar made for your brain. Mindfully formulated by some of the top neuroscientists and functional nutritionists, each Mosh bar includes 12 grams of protein and is made with ingredients that support brain health, like ashwagandha, lion's mane, collagen, and omega-3s. Founded by Patrick Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver, Mosh is a mission-driven brain health and wellness company that donates a portion of all proceeds to support women's brain research through the Women's Alzheimer's Movement at the Cleveland Clinic. Look, here's what you need to know about the Mosh bars. They taste delicious. Just a perfect little snack. We had a ton of them in the office. Again, they're all gone now because everyone at the office took as many as they could and brought them home and ate them because they're delicious. And, look, sometimes you're a little bit hungry, but you don't want to overeat, but you need just enough, and the Mosh is the perfect bar. So don't settle for a mediocre snack when you can nourish your body and mind with the fuel it needs to succeed. Whether you're at the gym, on the go, or just living your best life, Mosh protein bars will keep your brain and body fit, fueled, and feeling good. Head to moshlife.com/offline to save 20% off plus free shipping on your first 6-count trial pack. That's 20% off plus free shipping on your first 6-count trial pack, which includes all 6 mouth-watering flavors. moshlife.com/offline. Offline is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen. Attention homeowners, do you know when to replace your windows? Hint, if you're feeling too hot or cold, there's a fog between the glass, or you're spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window, that means it's time. Get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen. Their quality of work and convenience is unmatched, and they have more 5-star reviews than other leading companies. And right now, you can save $375 off every window and $750 off of every door. Text offline to 200300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't have to pay a dime for an entire year. Text offline to 200-300 right now to save $375 off every window and $750 off every door. These big dollar savings won't last long, so don't wait. Text offline to 200-300. Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. Go to windowappointmentnow.com for full offer details.
So, John, this is from Riley. 4 favs. If you hadn't done political speechwriting as a career, what would you have done?
Great question. I think the only other two sort of more mundane answers and one maybe more interesting one.
Okay.
I was either going to go to law school and be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Or I had thought about journalism.
Really? What would you have covered?
I don't know, but I was like the opinions editor for my college newspaper.
Really?
I was editor in the high school newspaper.
Okay.
So I really liked, but I was sort of like veering towards politics there, which made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the completely different direction would have been music. Because I played piano, and then I like did some music theory in college, and I don't know, when I practiced for this wedding, and we played there, and it was like so much fun to do. And I was like, if I could have figured out like how to sing or really get in this like being like doing like performance with music would have been really fun.
Do you ever picture what your life might have been like?
I mean, I don't know.
Like, what do you think is the thing that you might have ended up doing if you'd gone down that path and like it had worked out?
Yeah, I think it would have been like just performing in hotels, just on the piano. No, I think it would have been more like pop music, rock kind of stuff. Like I would have been like maybe it would have been a band. Maybe I would have.
That would have been cool.
Yeah,
that could have been like the touring piano player for our girl Taylor Swift.
Perhaps that might have been it.
Okay,
but there's like a
that's fun.
glimpse into another life. It was a glimpse into another life there, and I love music so much that
If you like when you fantasize about it, what's the song you picture yourself playing?
I don't know.
You really? You don't think
I
about
have not
that?
gone that far.
You don't kind of sit around and like
I
imagine
have a
it?
pretty eclectic taste in music. I have quite a range.
Okay.
What's
your
what I
favorite thing to
like.
play now?
Like, what? I mean, I've just been because we played for this wedding. We played the first dance for the couple when they wanted to us to play Your Song from Elton John, and Elton John and Billy Joel. When I was a kid, were both sort of like my entree into pop music.
Sure.
And I have like both of their like full collection of songbooks and have like know a lot of their stuff, and I love it because it's very piano heavy and piano first, so it's really cool.
We should come on the show sometime, play some Billy Joel.
Yeah,
I think it would be
perfect.
Fun. Can I give you my answer?
Yeah.
I would have wanted, I don't know if it would have wanted to work in movies, and if I could pick any job in movies, it would be designing opening title sequences.
Really?
Because
that is so specific, and I love it.
So much control over it. Because it's this one narrow specific thing, and there's really never been any art form like this where you're supposed to express story and emotion and all of this stuff, but you don't have any of the traditional tools of like character or narrative. You're conveying it all through music, design, and typeface. Like not even text, because the text and the words is just like produced by whatever, but you're trying to like design that in a way that will convey something, like give you a feeling of what the story is going to be. I think it's really cool.
And you're trying to grab people.
Right. You're trying to pull them in.
At the beginning. Yeah. Beginnings are very important.
If you like next time you watch a movie that has like a good opening title sequence, sit and appreciate it. And it's like, it's a really cool, very specific kind of craft that goes into it. I just think what they do is so awesome.
Here's a great question from Xtina Small.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's Christina Small.
Okay.
Any advice for a 24-year-old not knowing where their life career is going?
Wow. I mean, right now, any advice? I didn't know we were going to hit this one.
Oh, you know what? Emma wanted us to include this because she said you got to think about the Gen Zers out there.
You got to think about
and
the
Emma's
Gen Zers.
correct. Thank you, Emma.
Don't know where your life or career is going. Do you have an answer for this?
My answer, which may sound trite and cliche, but I think sometimes there's wisdom in, advice that's trite and cliche. I, for a long time, thought that I was supposed to go to law school because that was like the path. And like I was supposed to figure out how to be successful. And being successful was like, oh, well, law school is a good path because you can then be a lawyer and then you'll make enough money there and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I fell into political speech writing. And the way I fell into it is I was in intern in John Kerry's Senate office because we had like an internship in DC program at Holy Cross. And I interned for David Wade, who was his communications director and speechwriter. And I did all kinds of shit work in that internship, right? Like I was like, going through his Rolodex and entering it into his BlackBerry, all of his contacts, it was just like a 5-day project, And then one day he was like, he was asking me to read constituent mail and edit the constituent letters. And he was like, John Kerry's going to do an op-ed for Martin Luther King Day in the Boston Herald. Do you want to tonight go home and take a first cut at a draft?
Wow.
And I thought about it. I look back on it today because it's the kind of thing where it was like, at the time, internships were unpaid. Yeah. And also
Start
that
days.
was a lot of extra work. Mm-hmm. To go home after a full day of an internship and to I stayed up till 3 a.m. writing that. Yeah. But I was so passionate about it and I thought it was so fun. And then looking back, I realized the things that you find that are so fun to do, that drive you, that you're passionate about, they're a lot of the times they're not going to be they're not going to pay you a bunch of money at first. Yeah. But if you can figure out ways to get that in your life, even a little bit, then it might set you on a path where that can then become your career.
Yeah.
And I do think that that a lot of it requires just putting in the time and doing the grunt work and being willing to be the person who's I'll stay late, I'll do this. Yeah. And, I think, look, there's a line where that becomes abusive to employees to do that and interns. Right. But I think it's gone a little bit in the other direction now where it's you've really just you gotta put your time in and you've got to be willing to do some shit work to get where you want to go. And it's tough. It's tough and some of it's unfair, but it's reality and it can really pay off.
It's funny. I actually had a very similar experience of identifying the job that I wanted to do, not being able to get someone to pay me to do it. And I had this very shitty aggregation job at The Atlantic. Was one of my first jobs in media that I hated. It was grunt work. It paid terribly. And I really wanted to write about international issues for the website. And they were like, nobody will read about international issues on the internet. Obviously we're not going to hire you for that.
It's so funny.
It was very 2009, 2010. It was people want to read about politics, tech, and food on the internet. That's it.
Wow.
And so I would do the day job all day and put in a full day and then go home. I would write about international issues for them for free. And I was just let me write it. And if you like it, you can publish it. And again, I feel weird giving that advice because I don't want there to be a world where people have to work 2 jobs. And it's obviously only limited. Some people can do that. But
that honestly almost stopped me from giving the advice because I know how people can take it. And there's also a certain privilege that some people can have where you're well, I when I was on the Kerry campaign, I was getting $24,000 a year living in a $700 a month basement apartment in Capitol Hill that had rats in it. But it's
so you had roommates.
And my parents aren't super wealthy, but they were able to at least subsidize me enough so that I wasn't starving. Right. But not everyone has that. So I completely recognize that. But if you are in a position where you can figure out how to spend the extra time during the day doing what you love, it is the best chance you have to get to that.
So let me tell you advice that I got, I think literally when I was also 24, that has really stuck with me and I've tried to live by ever since, which is to do the job you want to do and not the job you want to tell people you do. Oh, and that
such good advice.
It's great advice. And it really threw me for a loop because I realized and have been constantly realizing since how often I will go to privilege a job or privilege a career. And I talk to people all the time who do this without realizing it because I think it will sound prestigious and it will be fun to brag to people about it. And when you really think about what's the job that's going to make me happy while I am doing it, those 8 hours a day are going to feel fulfilling. It's it's often a really different job or a really different career, and it can be hard. And my sister was she and I talked a lot about this because she worked in policy in DC for a long time. And she would call me up all the time and she would be like, I'm realizing that this is the job I want to tell people I do. And the job I actually want to do is be a nurse, which she just went to nursing school for.
David Axelrod has put that advice in a slightly different way that I always think about, which is think about what you want to do. Don't think about what you want to be.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah.
Because the B takes you to a place where it's like perception and what you're telling people and stuff like that. What you do is what drives you.
What is the identity that I want to have versus,
Okay, a few more quick questions. This isn't so much a question, but with the the Timothy Kylie thing.
I don't know who those people are. I don't know what happened between Timothy and Kylie, and you know what? I wish them both the best. I wish them both
and
Godspeed.
Taylor Swift. I guess everything with Taylor Swift.
Sure.
Can you do an episode on parasocial relationships and how the internet is making everyone think they actually know celebrities? Yes, we have been talking about this for several weeks now, if not months.
Yeah.
If anyone out there has good ideas for guests to talk to about parasocial relationships, we haven't landed on anyone yet, but if you guys have a good idea of people we should talk to, we've been wanting to do that episode.
Yeah, no, I would love to. It's something that shapes so much of how our media works now. I would love to have a deeper understanding of what role it's playing.
Which episode of Offline has been the most insightful, impactful, and why? That's from AWH96.
Honestly, the one where I came on almost exactly a year ago to the day had a big effect on my life because I ended up coming to Crooked Media, moving to Los Angeles, partly because of that. So that was a big one for me.
I have two down here. I said the first one is Max's episode, obviously.
Wow. Thanks, buddy.
And then the second one is for personally impactful.
Sure.
When I had Dr. Bob Waldinger on about his book, The Good Life, Lessons from the Longest Study on Happiness. This is the 84-year study for Harvard study. Please read the book. You listen to the episode if you want, but also like actually read the book. It's about how close relationships are. This turns out that is the most impactful on what your happiness long term, what kind of close relationships you have. And I think personally for me, it has like shaped my worldview, not just in how I like on the things we talk about on offline and social media and connecting and all that kind of the offline challenge and all that, but just like how I think about life now. And I've recommended it to a bunch of people, and everyone who's read is like, oh my God, this is great. So everyone read that book. And then finally, Jenna asked, do either of you have an offline dream guest?
I have an answer for this.
Who?
So I'm drawing on my past as a foreign reporter here. There's a certain international political figure who has not confirmed that they are very online, but I really think everything we know about them suggests that they are super plugged onto the internet and that it shapes a lot of their politics and a lot of the decisions, and I think would make for a fascinating guest.
Putin?
Even better.
He seems pretty online.
Kim Jong Un.
That is better. You think Kim Jong Un is super online?
I think he is so plugged in. He's our age. He's super millennial. He grew up partly in Switzerland under this as like assumed name, and like everything we've heard about his childhood is like he loved international stuff. He was like really into sports. Like I think he's not only online, I think he's a podcast guy. And I just think talking to him about like I'm not.
Do you think he's more of like a Joe Rogan all-in fan?
I think he probably listens to some Joe Rogan. Yeah, even if he just got it on in the background while he's testing nuclear warheads, just as a like kind of distraction to keep him company while he's launching the mass North Korean games every year.
That is such a good answer. I was just gonna say Bo Burnham.
Okay, that's good.
I've been trying to get Bo Burnham on because I thought, and I like listened to that album again. The show is fantastic on Netflix. Inside that he did during the it was basically what, when I was thinking about offline, what like crystallized that I want to launch a podcast about being too online. It was watching that special.
Bo Burnham, Kim Jong Un, come on offline.
Let us know.
Reach out. Have your people reach out.
All right, everyone. That's our mailbag episode. We will be back next week, and thanks for listening.
All right. Cheers.